What's up, my dudes? We got that new Supercross 5 gameplay that just came out with the new reveal event that they had for Supercross 5. Okay, so we got a little bit more gameplay to look at. They showed some gameplay of the compound, some more just like standard gameplay on the Supercross tracks and stuff, and I really wanted to come in here and give an opinion on this because, boy, oh boy, I hate to say it, but the more and the more gameplay that I see on Supercross 5, the more and the more worried that I'm getting for this game. So, yeah, that's what it's coming down to right here. I mean, it was one thing going in there and looking at that, like, 1-2 minute long gameplay that they released like a month or so ago or whenever that was, but now they're starting to dig a little bit deeper into the actual gameplay of the game, and so you can start seeing some of the different stuff a little bit better. And yeah, let's just say I definitely don't think this game is going to be some revolution or anything in the Milestone Supercross series. I just don't think it's going to be it's not going to be like some crazy big advancement or different thing than what they've ever really done before. And it's not me saying that Supercross 5 is going to be a terrible game, because I don't know that yet. But just from what I can see, I can tell you it's not going to be this game-changing, crazy, different Supercross game. I just really don't. Now that I've seen a little bit more gameplay on that, you can pretty much just tell that it's not really going to quite be like that. And I really wish that Milestone would catch on to what Call of Duty is now doing. If you guys haven't looked at that yet, Call of Duty is now going to be doing, I think, releasing a game every other year instead of every single year. You know, that's something I've been telling Milestone they should have been doing from the very beginning. But, and Milestone doesn't just come out with one game a year. They come out with 2 dirt bike games a year, plus the street bike racing games. Okay, so that's pretty next level for the amount of two-wheel racing games that a company makes per year. I mean, Milestone is taking it to the next level when it comes to that. I just think they would get a lot more out of their games and get a lot better of a response to their games if they only made one dirt bike game every other year. I want to talk about exactly what I saw in that more gameplay that they came out with. I know a lot of you guys are probably interested in what I'm going to say on that. So, yeah, basically, I can tell you right now, the whips don't really look like they're going to be anything better than they have been in any other Milestone game. They really don't look all that much different. I mean, it kind of looked like whoever's playing the game was struggling a little bit. I will say that, but I mean, I think one of the bigger problems they're starting to get with these newer Supercross games really does seem to be the animations of the game. That's something I am also noticing with that early gameplay of Supercross 5. Just the rider animation and the overall animations of the game are not really looking quite up to par with what you would think that it would be at this point. That does seem to be a bit of an Achilles heel to that Supercross 5 gameplay that I'm seeing. But the whips, they kind of look like when you're trying to, at least the whips that I saw in the gameplay, they weren't really even whips. It was like attempts at trying to throw whips or some shit. I don't even really know. I don't even really know what it was, but yeah, it basically looked like when you were trying to throw a big whip on Supercross 3 or something like that. That's about what it looked like. It doesn't look like something crazy different whip system-wise. But that all kind of depends on how they were throwing the whip as well. But yeah, it just kind of looks like there's this really big separation between being on the ground and hitting a jump and then starting that whip animation. It doesn't look like you fluently flow from jumping off of the jump to then going into that whip animation or that like scrubbing off of the jump face. That doesn't look like a very fluent thing in that Supercross 5 gameplay. It looks like there's a hard separation between like jumping off, like going from the jump phase to then going into the air to then throwing that whip animation, there's a lot of separation within the animations of the games to where it looks a little bit, still looks goofy, you know? It still looks just not very smooth in that sense, going from the ground to the air to the jump to the whip, you know what I mean? So that's definitely something I noticed with more of that gameplay. The animations look like they could use a lot of work. The like going from the jump phase to the whip animation itself looks like it could use quite a bit of work. That was two of the bigger things that I've seen on there, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be about like you mixed Supercross 4 and MXGP 2021 gameplay-wise. That's about what it's probably going to be. If you look at the bike in that new gameplay when it's on the ground, when they're kind of going through the corners, it looks very, very similar to like MXGP 2021. Doesn't look like there's hardly any bike slide, back wheel slide potential or anything like that in the corners, which is not necessarily a good thing. It just kind of depends on how it's actually implemented into the game. You know, you want there to be a potential slide out system, but you don't want to be sliding around everywhere like you're skating around on ice. Okay, like Spency Boy did get into his truck this morning. All right. That was a sight to see. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is about how all these Supercross games are at this point. It's like you mix that previous MXGP game and that previous Supercross game. It's like you take MXGP 2021 and Supercross 4, and it had a baby, and that's what Supercross 5 is. That's pretty much what it looks like to me. It definitely doesn't look like some next level kind of thing or some crazy different gameplay kind of thing. But still, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a terrible game, you know, and I know that may be crazy me saying something like that because I'm always ripping on Milestone, right? But I'm trying, and of course, the game has not come out yet. I could come in here and demortally shit on Supercross 5 once the game actually comes out. There is still a massive possibility for that, okay? But I do think there still is that possibility for Supercross 5 to be one of the better Supercross games that we have gotten. That is possible. It all depends on how much leaning forward and backwards there is. One thing I did like that I saw in the more gameplay that I saw of Supercross 5, it did look like they were getting somewhat challenged in the whoop section. So that was definitely good to see. I saw that a little bit in that very first gameplay that they came out with, but then saw it more so in that little reveal event that they did. They just almost flipped over in the whoops again on that. So maybe they've advanced those physics a little bit more to get more reaction out of the bike going through the whoop section. Hopefully that's the case. I don't know for sure. Of course, I'm running off of seeing other people's gameplay. So, you know, it all depends on the skill level of the player playing the game. It all depends on all that type shit, you know. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be about like you mixed MXGP 2021 with Supercross 4. So if you didn't really like either one of those games, I would definitely don't jump the gun to buy Supercross 5. Even if you were a fan of Supercross 4 or MXGP 2021, I still don't think you should jump the gun to go buy Supercross 5. You should really wait on the truthful reviews of it. I'm not talking about the neutral boy reviews of it that are going to be positive no matter what because they're super deep ties with Milestone. Okay, that's not the reviews that I'm talking about. You need to go watch some actual real, you know, no filter, no sugar-coated reviews of the game before it comes out. And that's what I've been saying since the beginning on Supercross 5. Even though I may come in there and say a couple little positive things about it, trust me, dog, I still believe it's a complete flip of the coin whether or not this game is going to be trash or be decent, you know? it's a 50-50 kind of chance in my head right now. Like, I don't really know, and I'm not going to really be able to tell till I actually play the game. So I'm kind of waiting on that before I can really speak a lot more on it. But yeah, that's about where I sit with that new gameplay reveal. They showed the compound a little bit. I mean, it's that same standard woodland. I don't think you're going to be blown away by any of the like free ride content or compound or anything. It's kind of the same run-of-the-mill biome and design that you would have got with a bunch of these other, pretty much all of these other Supercross games, minus the first one, but that one was technically DLC to begin with. So, you know, Spency Boy letting his hand off the controller already. Had to fix my hat there a little bit. But yeah, yeah. That's about what I'm seeing with that gameplay, guys. I mean, that's about all I can say about it. It does look like they're... I'm the most worried about the air side of it, because it really looks like they're just... I'm not so sure if those air physics are going to... I don't know. The entire physics system of the Supercross 5 gameplay just kind of looks like it's got this weird speed look to it, or this weird momentum. The way the bike looks going around the track in the game just has a little bit of a bizarre look to it. I don't know if any of you guys have kind of noticed that, but of course a lot of that could be the animations that I'm talking about. That's why I'm not trying to jump the gun too much to really super judge the game, because it could feel a lot better than those animations make it look. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be one of those games we're really going to have to play it to see, because but at the end of the day, you still can get an idea of what it's going to be just by looking at it. You definitely can. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It does have I do want to mention that, though. It does have a little bit of a goofy-ish look to just the way the bike kind of leaves the ground and then lands on the ground. Kind of has that, like I was saying before, kind of that floaty, not necessarily bouncy, but definitely kind of floaty. You know, it doesn't look like the bike has as much of that come back to the ground kind of inertia to it, as you would call it. Kind of looks like you just jump up in the air and then the bike starts getting into that floating animation look vibe to it. And I spoke about my Supercross 5 early gameplay, my previous video. I talked about the graphics looked better with Supercross 5. Man, shit, I don't even know. Now that I go back to Supercross 4, I'm like, how much better really is it? I swear, it's like we've gotten so many of these games at this point. I swear to God, it's like Milestone is starting to trick me at this point. It's just... the shit looks so similar. I mean, yeah, the graphics do look good in these newer Supercross games. That's not to get twisted, but do they really look all that much better than they did in Supercross 4? Maybe, yeah, they do look a little bit better, but definitely not a lot better. You know what I mean? The more gameplay that I see of it, I'm kind of starting to get that sort of vibe with the graphics of it. Like, it does look better, but I just don't know how much better. But nonetheless, I mean, I wasn't super impressed by the whips that they were trying to throw in that gameplay. It kind of looked like somebody that was trying to throw whips in Supercross 3 for the very first time or something. You know, they looked very, very goofy. So overall, the more I'm getting, being able to see more gameplay of this Supercross 5, it definitely is worrying me a little bit more. I'm definitely starting to get more hesitant towards talking positively about it. So yeah, that's just what I want to say with that. And of course, that actual gameplay reveal, like, race that they had or whatever, that shit looked goofy as hell from that like race director mode or whatever. It was lagging. The bikes looked squirrely as fuck. They looked stupid looking. I don't know what the deal was going on with all that race director mode stuff they were doing, but I'm talking about strictly just behind the rider third person gameplay that they showed in that reveal event. That's what I'm talking about here. Yeah, looks like they're struggling with the animations. struggling with getting the bike to just the rider and the bike to look right when it's maneuvering around the track. And I think a big reason for that is because they've started to add so much more of that, like leaning forward and backwards and just overall movement on the bike to begin with, that I don't think was really there as much in the first couple of Supercross games. And so they have to then go in there and try to fit those animations around that more movement that you're going to get, that more like twitchy, quick sort of leaning and maneuvering that you're doing on the bike. You know, you've got to get those animations to kind of match up to that. And I don't know if they've really got that figured out yet. That's definitely one of the biggest issues that I see with the game. But as far as the gameplay itself, I mean, I'm just being honest. There's nothing that's absolutely blowing my mind at this point. Not a whole lot of new features. I mean, the track editor looked a little bit like the actual the UI of the track editor did look a little bit better, a little bit more clean, looked a little bit different. But as far as new stuff to the track editor, there's really not anything. Other than a rhythm section saver. That's about all the new shit to the track editor that you're going to see in Supercross 5. But nonetheless, so yeah, that's my opinion on it. Appreciate you guys watching all the videos. We will be back on that next one later, dudes.